Well, welcome everybody to the breakout session titled Logistics, Transport, Storage, and OSS Question and Answers. So please know that the call is being recorded, which you've already agreed to. So this will be in our digital archive and available for replay. For a bit of housekeeping, please do review our meeting guidelines. Please mute your mic if you're not a panelist. If you have a comment, please type it into the chat. We are going to be using the chat for the Q&A format. Myself and Even will be moderating the chat. Please be respectful in your participation. Be present. We're all here to learn together. Let's be gracious with our attention. Speak from your own experience. And I think that's it. Our call will end at 2:30 today, and the second breakout will begin at 2:45. So check the main Kindling page for those links. So, okay, my name is Sticky. I will be your chat monitor, and I volunteer for the camp support team. And I'm here with an inspiring group of panelists who are here to answer all your burning logistical questions. With that, I will be introducing our hosts and panelists for the day. And I want to give an extra special thanks to Sammy and Even for doing our tech and chat moderating. So first we have Muddy Puppy. Muddy Puppy runs the personal container portion of the new and improved BRC storage program, where she helps allocate containers to those on the wait list and help answer questions as they arrive. Lots of new information to be coming from Muddy Puppy. So welcome, Muddy Puppy. Next, we'll have Sandstorm, who started the Burner Express program in 2013. I'm very impressed by that fact. As a one-person show, and with the support of the bus operators, he helped move 1,200 people to and from Burning Man. Over the last 7 burns, he's grown the program to 16,500 riders with a support team of over 50 volunteers and staff. Legend. Welcome, Sandstorm. Next, we have our Burner Air representative, Lisa Ramrod Kipfer, who in 2019 became a credentialed volunteer at the 88NV, the BRC airport. By living out at the airport, she quickly became part of the 88NV family. In her role, she verifies IDs, connected with correct flight manifest groups with the pilot, and works closely with pilots, luggage crew, and all of the Burner Air crew. Our next Burner panelist duo are Isabeau, Vidal, and Charles Planck, hailing from the East Coast. Isabeau has been going on to the burn since 2010 and has been one of the leads for the New York Container Program since 2015. And since the end of 2019 has been co-coordinating the overall community container program together with Charles Planck with DC Container. Charles is the regional contact in DC and leads It's All Made Up, or IAMU, which is also known for the Sky Bar as well as the DC Containers. A big welcome to our East Coast peeps. And finally, hailing from Australia, we have our host for this question and answer, President. President is the department head of OSS, where she works with diverse stakeholders, including the US federal government, to ensure compliance with permit stipulations and operational efficiency of the world's largest and best arts festival. So with that, I will hand this panel over to our host of the hour. President, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here and taking the time to come and hear what we have to say and what your options are for transport and logistics in Black Rock City. I hope everybody enjoyed the plenary. Our format's pretty easy today, and I went over a lot of OSS. How many of you weren't in the plenary? If you could just raise your hand through the chat function, just so I know. I feel like most everybody was there. Yeah, great. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing what the OSS program is. I can tell a lot of people are here to focus on how to get your staff to BRC, and hopefully on the front of your mind as well, how to do it as sustainably as we can, since we've got our wonderful sustainability goals. So I've been the manager of the program for 5 years, and just a little bit of the history about it. It only had its first dedicated manager the year before me. So it was kind of loosely just kind of a thing that organically was created, and then we formalized it into a program in 2015, and I took it over in 2016. So it's been a great, fun journey, lots of exciting stuff, and also lots of boring compliance stuff. Lots of things have changed in that realm as well. So that's lots of things. Yeah, so I wanted to make sure that in the question and answer portion, we really make sure that we are going to prioritize questions that deal with the broader community, and then if we have time, we can kind of answer questions that might be a little more about your individual experience. Nothing wrong with that, but I will say you'll probably get the best answers if you contact the person directly who you are wanting to know the information from. Outside services at burningman.org is 100% open, ready to answer all your questions. Like, the whole point is we are all here to help you get your stuff to BRC. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and actually turn it over to, who was that? Was it Muddy Puppy next after me? Yes, Muddy Puppy, to talk more about the exciting things we've got going on for storage and options in closer to the event.
Sure. Thanks so much, Shaye. I appreciate it. Again, kind of same thing. I went over a good amount of it in the first meeting, but I kind of can dive into a little bit more of the details here. So the most exciting bit is that in the move over to the 360 property, we are actually also going to be offering other types of storage that we've never been able to before. So BRC storage program will now accept mutant vehicles. We are intending on accepting enclosed containers or enclosed cargo trailers in the future years, not this year, as well as some trailers. I kind of mentioned in the first meeting, but currently we're only transporting for the containers that we host. Any of the other items are going to be transported by the owner themselves. And aside from that, we're trying to open up the wait list so that it is open. So anybody who wants to join the program can. That has never been done. It's usually open for maybe a year and then it gets full up, and we don't want people to be waiting for multiple years on end. So we close it, but we're hoping to open it and keep it open this time, which is really exciting. This year we expanded by 50 containers, which is also almost double of what we've ever been able to offer in the past. Just a really big push for the initiative. I think that's about it for the most kind of pertinent things. Again, if you wanted to come out and access storage, you would have to do it in congruence with one of our events that we're hosting, and that's posted online. I'll drop that in the chat for what our schedule is looking like coming up. But we do anticipate having people come out pre-event this year. So did anybody have specific questions about the BRC storage program?
Well, we're encouraging people to put them in the chat. And so what we're going to do is go through and have all of us talk first. And then our chat moderator is going to kind of prioritize questions, and then we can kind of answer them from there.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Well, that's the main chunk of what my update is. And I will pass it back to you, Shaye.
Sure, yes. The next speaker that we had was going to be Burner Express and Ramrod, Burner BXA, which Burner Express Air. I'll let you two kind of tag team and tell everybody about the exciting things that's happening with you this year.
Yeah, Ramrod, do you want to talk BXA first, and then I'll jump into bus?
Sure. So Burner Express Air, what we also call BXA, is an air flight charter program where you can fly into Burning Man. So right now there's no airport there, and we go out and put an airport in. So it's a great opportunity to, if you have someone in your camp that has limited time coming from a long distance, or just a good resource for many reasons, to not have to wait in a long line to get in, that sort of thing. So we're really excited because this year we have a new flight. It's a bit more user-friendly flight booking system. It sounds like in the past years it's been quite clunky. You couldn't change your own flights and those sorts of things. So this is a lot more user-friendly, easier to book flights, change flights, do what you need to do. So we're really excited about that. And I think in the chat, I have included frequently asked questions. It has lots of information in there. It also sends you to the website that gives the background of the program and also the flight booking page. And so the most exciting is that the tickets go on sale Monday. So this upcoming Monday, if you're looking to buy tickets, go ahead and do that. And currently you can buy a seat or you can request a charter quote for a whole plane. So that's what we're offering there. So I see the frequently asked questions in the chat, and if you have any questions, I'll answer them towards the end.
Thanks. So the tickets that are going on sale on Monday are just for the Burner Express Air program. Burner Express Bus will be on sale by mid-May. You can access both of those from the same website, burnerexpress.burningman.org, or just burnerexpress.com will route you there. For Burner Express Bus, we offer trips from San Francisco and Reno direct to Black Rock City. Those trips will start on the Saturday just before the event begins and run through the Tuesday after. One of the really nice things is if you ride the Burner Express bus in on Saturday, the 27th this year, you do not need a work access pass. So for those of you coordinating bigger camps, if you've got a handful of people on your early arrival list and you don't have enough work access passes for them, you can throw folks on the bus on Saturday to get up and get them up onto Playa early. And then similarly, having a bus that's outbound on Tuesday after the man burns allows some time to strike and get folks out. The tickets will vary in price based on destination. And there's inbound buses Saturday the 27th through Thursday the 1st, and outbound buses from Friday the 2nd through Tuesday. We are not offering full charters this year, so you cannot book an entire bus for yourselves as you've been able to do in years past. It'll just be individual tickets. Those buses will drop you off right at the 6 o'clock corridor, and then we have a satellite network that'll transport you around the city closer to your camps. Similar to air, we have express entry with the bus program. We use lane 13 at the gate, and so you can get into Black Rock City quicker on the bus, and then it exits out a separate exit, and so you can get out of the city quicker versus driving yourself.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Sandstorm. I always think of the song Sandstorm every time that I see your face, like. And next we have Isabeau and Charles from the Community Container Program, which I'm not quite sure how much people know that that's available through a wider program that we do. Go ahead and take it away, Isabeau and Charles.
Hi, everybody. So Isabeau here from New York Container, together with Charles from DC. We are the coordinators for the Community Container Program. So the goal of the program is to provide a cost-effective and relatively eco-friendly way for everybody in the community to get their personal stuff, as well as their art projects, and also their camp infrastructure to the burn and back, of course, ideally. It's a program that is officially sanctioned by the Burning Man organization, but it is not run by Burning Man org. This means that in every city or region, there's a local group, camp or not-for-profit that organizes the local containers for their community effectively. Today, there's container programs in Chicago, Boston, New York City, Philadelphia, and DC. I think that's all right, Charles. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Well, we're open to adding additional ones. Yeah, we're working on Minneapolis. Chicago was added this year. The program is definitely open to new people, and basically Charles and I, as well as the other coordinators, are basically here to help you either get in touch with your local container program, or if you are in a region that doesn't have one, we're here to help you potentially set one up for your community. That's about it. I think, Charles, you want to add something?
No, I think that's pretty much it. One thing I would like to note is that with the container programs, what makes an official Burning Man, well, not an affiliated Burning Man community container program, is all of the containers from the different cities really need to be supporting their communities. That you know, we make it a lot more cost effective and a lot more efficient and way more convenient to get your things out there. So we really see ourselves as in the service of the various communities that we work in and support. And it's also been a fantastic way for communities to really sort of galvanize, come together. And one of the most amazing things about this program that we've talked about among the other city operators is when a city gets a container program, the scale of the art and what people bring to Burning Man goes up, and while the cost goes down. So it's really it's an amazing thing, and we'd love to see more container cities start up. That's it.
Excellent, great. Thank you so much, all of the panelists here. So the Sticky, are you going to be the one who is raising the question? Yeah, great.
Great. So our first question is from Hyacinth. If we have our own container, can we, I'm assuming this is for Muddy Puppy, can we use it this year after the burn or not yet?
Yeah, so the way that this works is you join the wait list. When you come up on the wait list, you can either purchase a container from BRC Storage, or you can bring in your own personal container if it fits the specific requirements. Those requirements are, it's got to be a standard 20-foot container. It can't be a tall boy or anything like that. Has to have fork pockets, must be painted sand tan, and nothing on the exterior. And it's got to still be wind and water tight, so it can't have any holes in it. If it fits those requirements, when you come up on the list, you absolutely can enter that into the program whenever you get it out here. And that can be pre-event this year even, or post.
Great. And we've got a couple more questions for you. So this one sounds like it's about access. You mentioned that storage can only take place during special events, for example, Maker's Village, or is that for overnight access, ? The site seems to suggest daytime access can happen during the posted windows. You mentioned that storage can only take place. Oh, that's a repeat of the question. So that was the question for you.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, and I think I just slightly misspoke when I said it in here, but you're exactly right. You do have day access pretty at will once you schedule it. You do have to be a part of the access storage program, and then you can schedule daytime access. If you have to do it over 2 days or something, you can stay at Bruno's in the meantime until we do have more overnight available. But yes, so you're able to come do day access. If you wanted to do overnights, that's what has to be linked in with one of our events.
Awesome. And two more for you, it looks like. Will power be available for container work at 360 for welders, vacuums, etc., or do we need to bring a generator?
Very good. Yeah, currently you will have to bring your own generator. We're trying to get some out there right now as well, but it is not currently set up for power. It will be. It's actually in the process of developing several different stages. So there will be power, there will be restrooms, there will be an auto shop of sorts, a maker space of sorts. So there will be tons of stuff coming. It's all just in that development stage right now.
Great. And I'm going to ask one more question, and this might be an email question, but wanted to ask about the decision to require all containers owned by a quote single individual or group to all opt into or out of the 360 access as a single block. What if an owner has more? What if an owner has more than one container, but each container is used by a different camp?
Yeah, and this is kind of from a technical standpoint, the way that the system is set up. If you're the owner of a container, even if the container goes to different spaces, we work off of who the owner is, not on who the camp is, because that's who's on contract. So if you're transitioning over to the access plan for the 360, then all of your containers have to switch over. There's not an option for us to break it down unless you transfer it to somebody else. And then they could select something differently. And just for everybody else's knowledge, this is for existing container owners that are already part of the program. Anybody coming into the program brand new, they're all starting with the 360 access. They're all going to be starting there. So, but yeah, it was a tricky one to try and decide on, because we knew that it would come with some hiccups. If it's a huge issue for you guys, go ahead and email us at brcstorage@burningman.org, and I'm happy to kind of discuss with my team on case by case. That's okay.
Awesome, great. Okay, it looks like we're moving over to Burner Express. From Lauren, in past years, there was a Burner Express bus that also included a ticket to Burning Man, but I haven't seen anything about that for 2022. Any news?
Yeah, so that's called the Plus sale. So it's Burner Express Plus, and you're correct. What it means is that on a certain day and time that will be announced eventually, when you buy a ticket for the bus, you get access to a ticket to the event. And with that, you're required to ride the bus into the city. You can only pick your ticket up at the bus and come in on the bus. And those are valid for transportation beginning on Monday, the 28th. That sale historically has happened in the middle of June, and it'll likely happen in the middle of June again. But we have not finalized a few things relevant to the bus program as a whole, which is why that hasn't been announced, but it is part of the larger ticketing plan for this year.
Okay, great. And another one for you, Sandstorm. It's not clear if the published cost for bike transport for Burner Express riders is one way or round trip. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, so this year when you buy a ticket, you'll have the option to buy a ticket or a ticket plus bike, or a ticket plus additional luggage, or a ticket plus bike plus additional luggage. So they'll be bundled together as single packages this year versus individual add-ons. With that, the bike transport, you only need to pay for one way. Whether you're riding into and out of the city, the bike ticket is good round trip. And we do that to encourage people not to leave their bikes on the playa. So if they paid for it one way to get it there, they can bring it home for free, so they don't just leave it behind. However, if you have additional luggage, like bringing a dome or something above our normal luggage capacity, that you need to pay for both ways.
Okay, fabulous. Yes, do not leave your bikes on the playa. Come on now. Okay, so Tim is curious about the decision not to offer ability to charter a whole bus. Speaking from a theme camp that usually has one bus that we fill, if we wanted to pursue one, could we at least book with the same vendor used for BM Express and do it ourselves? ?
So the reason behind removing that program for this year, and that's a temporary remove for this year, is just the pandemic, supply chain issues, and driver shortages. We're facing a general bus shortage, and to make sure we have enough buses for the overall Burner Express bus program, we had to kind of put the charter program on hold this year. If you're a camp that has historically chartered through us, you can DM me here and I can get you some more information on the way that we can potentially work together. We just don't have the inventory to do it for the larger group of camps. If you were to charter your own bus independent from the Burner Express, you're welcome to do so. It would just mean that that driver needs a bus ticket, and then that bus enters and exits the city through the regular participant chain lanes at the gate.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And the next question we had, Level just came and did some tech, so we're letting people in. I think there were some people trying to get in that couldn't get in, so hopefully everybody's in now. So from Chris, we currently have our camp in a cargo trailer at Black Rock Storage and are in need of new tires and bearing packing. Can anyone recommend a mobile tire person who can meet us in Empire at the storage facility to do the work? So if anybody has a contact there, maybe just drop that in the link for Chris. In the chat, sorry. From Jeremy, regarding Burner Express and Burner Air arrival, but no delivered housing, can campmates bring an RV tent trailer for folks coming from afar? Can camps make multiple trips to provide the housing for their campmates coming from Europe, India, and Taiwan? Real world examples. So I think that's
sure. Well, I mean, I think the easy answer here is you can always bring stuff in for your campmates. If they're your campmates, that's not a problem. It's still in the spirit of communal effort and, you know, gifting your time and showing up for your people. But I think the real meat of this question is, can you deliver RVs for people, since we have no delivered housing, especially if they're coming from overseas? There's a short and a long answer, and the short answer is, yeah, absolutely, if it's not a transactional arrangement. If you're doing it for your friend and your campmate, and you're like, hey, even better so if it helps us with our sustainability goals, if that means not another car is not coming in and you're carpooling and you're loading that sucker up with all of your stuff, yeah, absolutely. But if you're paying someone to go in and out of the city many times to deliver stuff for people, even if it may be that they're not technically a business, but you're like, hey, why don't we give you, $1,000 to go do the thing, and you can just run in and out and bring all of our stuff. That's a transactional arrangement, and it's absolutely not encouraged. And we have mechanisms in place at the gate that if we see people going in and out doing these types of things, you'll probably have to speak to me or someone else at some point about it. And it has to be really clear that what you're doing is gifting your time and your energy to help out your campmates. And delivered housing, one of the reasons why we made the decision as well is just it's an environmental compliance issue. When people don't know how to use travel trailers when it's not theirs, oftentimes they don't know how to keep their gray water or black water from leaking on playa. And particularly in the OSS program, it was a problem where participants, we had to require every unit that came in through OSS to have a spill kit on board with instructions on what to do if something leaked. And of course, we inspected every single unit to make sure there was caps and all that stuff. Like, we did everything we could to risk mitigate, but it always just came down to user error. And if you see the change that we have in Black Rock City, and I know from when I started in 2005, it's entirely different how many more people use travel trailers and RVs, hard-sided, very much not carbon neutral ways. Then there's just a multitude of ways that we can do things better. And we're just really trying to push our sustainability goals at the front and center, saying, how do you camp at Burning Man and how can you make it more sustainable? And it's just, are you willing to stay in a travel trailer without a generator for aircon? Probably not, but maybe. So it's just all those little things, like how can we encourage each other to reduce our carbon impact and to share our resources and to really experience the harshness and beauty of Black Rock Desert, So I hope that answers your question, Jayme. You know that you can reach out to me via email, and it's same for any one of you. If you have questions about what I've said here or feeling like that's not going to work for you and your people, we'll talk about it.
Great. And then we've got one more here from Drew. It says, no more delivered housing, one or more bike rental camps shut down. Some participants have expressed concern that community container shipping programs might be next. What's the guidance there?
Sure, I can give you that guidance. Well, the community container program is not going anywhere. The bike camp issue was a different thing, and it's a commercial compliance issue where the long and the short of it, again, there's a lot of this stuff is very nuanced and has a lot of background information that I'm not going to bore anyone here. But with the bike camp, the theme camp, and what the BLM is always interested in is when it looks like a transaction. And when you go to a camp and you pick up something that you've essentially rented and you take it away from that camp, it's no longer that you're just pooling the resources to be a theme camp. It becomes a business-like transaction. And so that is kind of where we had that whole conversation with the BLM about bike camps and how it just got scooted in that direction. And there really wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. And as I know Lauren is here in this call, he will know that we did a lot of work in the background to try to make something be more palatable for the powers that be at the BLM, and it just wasn't able to be brought to resolution. However, community container program is something that technically is auspiced by Burning Man. Even though they run it independently, there's standard process and of why and how you can create a container program, what type of compliance things that they need to do to make sure that we're still happy with the program. And in that, then we can always let the BLM know exactly this isn't in the same category, and that it is collectivizing people's stuff and bringing them to BRC, because it's not not a business that's not making money. It's not there particularly to I don't know what the word is. It's to help complement how to get everybody there, and it's an event at the end of the day. And like, how do you get the stuff to the event? So the community container program is something we really, really, really appreciate all the hard work that goes into getting, especially our more far-flung communities out in a more sustainable and collective communal effort way. So I hope that answers your question, Drew. And you know how to reach me. We can talk more about Elaine, any fears that you may have about community container programs being under fire for anything in terms of commercial compliance.
Awesome. Great answer, he says. I actually have a question just out of curiosity. For the BRC container program, how many people are currently using the container program? And is there a capacity for the container program, or what does that look like from like a growth standpoint? That was a muddy puppy question.
Okay, storage program. Yeah, so
Sorry.
currently we've got 281 in the BRC storage program. And then, like I said, we are expanding by 50 this year. Hoping to get to the 360 mark. That's the name of the space, name of the game.
Nice. And it's 360 acres as well, right?
Correct.
Maybe-
Yeah, the land use permit was 1 container per acre.
Okay, good to know. And then, so will mutant vehicle need to be in a container, or is there other storage options for the mutant vehicle?
There are other storage options. So basically you can either do a container or, you know, like a slip, right? If you're maritime, but so like based on the size of the slip that you rent from us, essentially is the cost. And that also is kind of case by case. You know, Abraxas might have a really standard base wheel width, but has a huge kind of actual base. So it's case by case depending on how big the space is that they rent.
Nice. All right, we had another question come in here. Can you share any info about the availability of OSS for delivery and removal of mutant vehicles for the event?
I sure can. So as you would have seen in the plenary, we had a lot of time over the 2 years to think about if we were going to do the program over again, how we would do it. And so part of that was the ACEs, like why do we have the program, and why does the things come in? What's the need in that? So if you have a mutant vehicle that needs special transport support, meaning like if you can trailer it yourself, we ask you, please trailer it yourself. Like that's the whole point, it's radical self-reliance. But if you need semi-tractor truck of support, like obviously we don't think that every participant who wants to have a mutant vehicle that's big will have a trucker's commercial license and be certified and have the insurances to transport that. So yes, that in that particular regard, it can absolutely help you out. And that's why we have the semi truck providers that are licensed and certified to help you. And they are professionals that I've seen them move the craziest stuff, and including the 747. You know, who would have thought? That's not something I would ever want a participant to do that didn't have the skills. It's just not good risk management. It's not a good thing. So yes, absolutely, mutant vehicle support and transport is one of these things that you can do in the program. But if you have a small mutant vehicle that you can trailer yourself, that's not what the OSS program is for. That's for you to get to the site. But if it's a larger thing that needs support, yes, absolutely. So if you have any questions about that, if you have a mutant vehicle, you're not quite sure, as I said, please reach out. I'm happy to discuss things on a case-by-case basis. It's just, yeah, as we know, Burning Man, nothing is one size fits all. And we're here to help. We're not here to hinder. So if there's a special thing that you got going on, like, we want to help. And is that all the questions, really? Like, we've answered everything? Seriously, everyone?
We've
That
solved.
seems weird, right?
I better see my inbox lighten up. Well, great. I mean, I can talk a little bit more about OSS if you all want, but if there's no more questions, how's all the rest of the panelists feeling? Is there any other information that we have forgotten to give that we really feel is super important?
One quick thing about the container program. So Drew from Chicago container, who's also on the call, he just asked a question. So he's organizing a get together for all the containers, all the container programs this year. So we'll probably start at Chicago container and just have a visit to all of the different containers together, just kind of talk shop about container transport or
therapy.
community container transport. And then we'll end up at Skybar probably. Skybar is the DC container. So everybody, if anybody that's on the call for any other containers, we'll send an email about this as well. But we'll do that this year. So that's your official invite.
Okay, we got some more questions here. So from Drew, just curious, OSS vendors seem to turn over a good amount year to year. Any broad strokes on why?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. You mean like we have different
Like,
OSS, like turnover of the actual vendors who do the thing, or?
Yeah, like different vendors every year.
I don't know that that's actually true. I've been managing the program for 5 years and I work with mostly all the same people. And as we said in the plenary, we're happy to have new providers. Like we have a really strict process of making sure that they are, that they know what Burning Man is, they know our culture, and that they actually have the equipment and expertise and certifications to do what they are saying that they're going to do. And now we have the, ACES criteria on top of that. Like how is the business that they're potentially bringing to Burning Man going to support those 3 different criteria. And we do have things in place that if there's an OSS provider that isn't acting in integrity or has been causing issues. Oh, this is the other thing I want to mention. If you have used OSS, that we do have a feedback form on the same page that has the authorized providers for the year. So it's not just like a complaint form. We want to hear about everybody's experiences. If you have something that you want to raise or about a particular provider, we want to hear about it there, because every year providers have to reapply and they go through a whole vetting process. And sometimes they're not successful and that's why they don't get to come back. Or sometimes we actually say that they can't come back to the program because their performance was so bad. But luckily that's not the norm. The norm is that most of the providers that we have, I know personally, that are really, really keen on being out there and helping you do the thing and making it efficient and as economical as we can. And I saw that something about the fees. And yeah, we have, so the biggest fees we had in the program were for delivered housing. And when we eliminated that, it's not many people that are like, yeah, take away like half my budget. Totally want to do that, because what that does, it gives us better quality of providers that are doing the things we actually want them to do. So with fees, we want to keep them very low. And that's what we're consistently working towards. And so things like delivered items, that's $200, it's stickered. We know what provider it is. We know what camp it's going to, makes it very easy for us to track. I do not ever want to see that increase. And I know that in discussions with the budgeting committees here and such, same thing, we want to make sure that this is an economical and accessible program for that's being used for the reasons why we have it. So we definitely it's not a cash cow. We want it to be something that can be used wholly by people that want to make use of it for the reasons why we made the program. And I see a question from Kelly. Hi, Kelly, how are you? When will suppliers of electrical systems be informed of approval? They already have been informed of approval. It's published on our site. So if you have a vendor that is unsure, please have them message me, because they know the process and they've been informed that we published the list on our website, which is pretty much how you know that you are a provider and that you are informed that you can go out and actually start taking bookings, because they're not allowed to do it until they've signed their contract with us and that we have ensured that they have an SRP with the BLM. So no one is ever on that list prior to having a contract with us and having an SRP in place. And that also is speaking to cost increases.
Nice. So Christian has a question for BRC storage. It looks like in the past, going to get water from Gerlach used to take a quick in and out trip. Last few years to get back in has taken hours. Any plans for expedited entry for in and out folks picking up from 360?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually have not had that one pop up in our team chats. So I'm going to make a note of that. At this point, no, but I really like that inquiry. So I'm going to discuss it with my team. Stay tuned.
Awesome. Love that. All right. So this is a cool one. Any pro tips on getting to Burning Man with your gear if you plan on driving up yourself for renting trucks, U-Hauls, or cargo vans? There's so many ways to come to Burning Man. Sandstorm, what do you have to say?
I was just going to say rent them from further away than Reno. That's your best bet, is to pick something up in Sacramento or Fresno or something that's not within 4 hours of the event site.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot more feedback lately over the past few years about U-Haul specifically, that there's been some, reservations and last minute cancellations. I can't personally speak to that, but from what I've heard from lots of my TCO friends is that they no longer really recommend U-Haul because it has been really unreliable and has had some really last minute emergencies pop up due to them overbooking and having to cancel at the last minute. So I would say use U-Haul with caution, and just really make sure that you are using a reputable rental place and making sure that you are clear to them that it's going to Burning Man, because if they find out, and there's ways that they try to do that if you don't tell them you're going to Burning Man, that they could potentially just cancel your reservation because they don't want their equipment going there. So it's just some little tips like that. I'm happy to have a further conversation if you want to email me, Chris.
And maybe I'll add
Great.
something. I've done this. We've done this multiple times actually. We used to drive a big Penske all the way from the East Coast to the burn. Make sure you make the reservation early. Make sure that the place knows this is going a long distance. You may want to tell them that it's going to Burning Man and make sure that they're cool with it. I think the president already said that. Make sure that they know that it has to be a good trip. Pick it up several days or well in advance, so you can make sure that it's a good truck. We've had trucks that were just terrible from a reputable place. It was a Penske location that we used a lot of times, but this one year we just got a terrible truck and it broke down. And that's not a fun thing to have to deal with. So make sure you got a good truck. Look for best mileage, obviously, mileage cost. Yeah, that's about it.
Great, thank you.
The other thing I might add is we always buy a matching air filter that we swap out at the end of the burn. And also in more recent years, you can buy that like packing tape, like that big wide packing roll kind of tape. Cover your interior of your cab with that. It will make the cleaning of the truck way easier afterwards. And a water and vinegar mixture is great for getting rid of or your spray down of your of the back of the truck. Those are the only, and also another thing we do is we have like a milk crate of things that we absolutely need to get to or want to have immediately accessible at the back of the truck, like extra, those kinds of things that you don't think about. It's like, oh, where's that thing? Oh, it's like 15 feet in my truck. That's too bad. So just don't do that. Just have the things that you're going to want immediately at the end, right at the end. So those are the only tips I might add there.
And you may also want to consider a professional cleaning. This is basically what we've done, like not just the cab and but also the engine. If you're going to do this multiple years, perhaps you don't want to return this truck in a condition where they're going to be like, we're never renting to you again. So, yeah, either whether you do it yourself or have it professionally, I'll make sure it's like that's cleaner than when you got it, and that includes the engine.
Nice. So this question, it did say, will there be a burner bus for burn week? But we're thinking that maybe they meant build week. It was going to be looked into on a previous Zoom meeting. So Sandstorm, can you talk about Burner Express for Build Week?
So the earliest Burner Express bus will be Saturday, the 27th. We've over the years looked at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday Build Week buses, or maybe doing some individual charters for camps those weeks. And it's never really kind of penciled out from a staffing standpoint or demand. I'll let Ramrod jump in. Burner Air does start earlier for getting a few folks up there, but not necessarily in the volumes of the bus.
Right, yes. So we do start flights on the Wednesday, the 24th. And so this year they will start then. If you come in between then and the 27th, you will need a work access pass. So you will need a ticket and a WAP, we call that, but you can still get a flight. And then as Sharif said earlier, if you come in the 27th, I believe, through the bus or air, then you don't need one. And so we are offering a few flights during Burn Week starting on Wednesday.
Great. I think everybody here would love to fly in on Wednesday. Regarding outside services, what does conditional pre-approval only mean on the site? Apologies if this was described earlier.
It was not, and that's a good catch. So conditional pre-approval is basically the two categories that are there, which you're referring to, are waste disposal services and food delivery. And when we're doing the ACEs work, we recognize, and this is with a whole cross section of people. This isn't just like me sitting in a corner thinking about this myself. We were interested in why you would need those things and why you wouldn't just be radically self-reliant. And so the easy answer to this is, if you're using waste disposal services and food delivery in service of a gift of the wider community, then yeah, absolutely. So what you need to do is you need to contact whichever department is handling your group or entity. So if it's you're a theme camp and you want a dumpster through OSS, you need to contact placement and say, hey, we want a dumpster, we're using it to do this. And then placement will contact me. We'll see what your interactivity is and whether or not that dumpster is just for your camp and your only camp use, or because you're doing this awesome gift that you need a little extra support with having a dumpster. Same thing with food delivery. If it's just for your camp, then probably not. But if it's because you're gifting food to the entire community, then yeah, you can have the extra support. So all of those are just managed on a case-by-case basis, because we didn't want to eliminate them entirely if they really truly did support camps in massively gifting amazing things to the community. And it does in some sense make more sense in terms of sustainability for there to be economies of scale with types of stuff. So like I said, we always want to leave room for innovation and helping in ways we can, while still in the spirit of radical self-reliance, make sure that we're always asking ourselves, can we do this ourselves? Is that the best option, or is it more sustainable to have a health from a health and safety perspective or a professional to do it, and how to weigh those up? And so these conversations are always happening, and nothing, like I said, is a straight black and white line except for commercial compliance. That's like the only thing in Burning Man that's really truly like there's a clear line there because it's all managed by our permit. But other things, we always want to hear from you, and you know, I don't want everybody to feel like OSS is just coming at you with all these rules and regulations. We really want to make it in service of our community. And then that's why we allow in our tightly decommodified space, third-party businesses to help and complement all these great things that we're doing. So I just really want to make that clear.
Nice. That was an excellent explanation. So next question, are there any issues with our own camp member, who is a California driver's license driver, shuttling our semi-trailers and art cars to our camp from where we stage them in Empire Storage during Build Week?
To clarify, I mean through the main gate, not point one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I can't speak for the BLM. They could be interested in what you're doing, because it could look to them like your guy's a business person. I don't know, but from my perspective, as long as, you know, he's truly doing it in the service of the camp, and it's for equipment and infrastructure that is for your camp and it's gifting, then I wouldn't see a problem with that. Where we do come into an issue is where it is delivered housing, where we really encourage people to be bringing in their own housing. And if you can't do that, then reevaluate it. And why that's particularly important is because we always are in conversations with BLM about why theme camps are not businesses. And it's always the same thing, which is why we have theme camps. You're collecting and pooling resources so you can do the thing, and no one's profiting. We all know no one's profiting in a true theme camp. And so that we can say, yeah, we don't want a slippery slope of the BLM being given any indication that there's transactions going on within theme camps. That you know, if you're delivering, if you have one guy delivering a bunch of trailers and you're charging $15,000 to come and basically like a ticket to camp at your camp, like that's the business. We can't make that distinction of saying you're not a business, because it looks very much well and truly like you are. You have to make sure that everything you're doing is in the service of the camp and the gifting that you're doing in the city. And it was a very long explanation for a very nuanced subject. But if you want to have more conversations about this with me, please email me. I could talk about this all day.
Great, thank you, President.
Awesome. Okay, our next question. When we bring in our truck, I'm part of a big sound camp. Can you talk about the stickers that are needed on the items on a flatbed? I think we had issues with that in 2019.
Okay, yeah, sure. So was that going in through outside services? I'm just clarifying, because the only time I would see that there would be stickers would be through outside services. And there are two different stickers that would go on a semi-trailer type of truck. One is what we call a trailer tag, which just, if it's a flatbed truck and the flatbed has other things on it that are delivered items, all those delivered items are stickered too. So the flatbed doesn't incur a fee because it just stays with the provider. And we want to know, especially if we find it parked somewhere in the middle of the street, whose trailer that is and what provider it belongs to, because I will be contacting them right away to tell them to move it. But other than that, if it's something that's being delivered to your camp, then it should have an OSS sticker on it, and it will say the vendor's name on that sticker. So I don't know if that helps with your question, but I hope that kind of helps other people understand. When you see those pink OSS stickers, you know that came into the program, and it will have the provider's name. So if there's a question about that item, you always know what provider it came in through.
Nice. That right now there's no other questions in the chat. A lot of interest about the dumpster and how the dumpster on Playa would fare in rain and all sorts of fun little situations there, but that's just fun chat.
Oh yeah, well, we have a strict dumpster waste disposal policy that the provider has to follow, as well as the camp that has it has to also sign off on. And yeah, if you have a dumpster, you are caretaking for that, and we can't have any type of leakage. Yeah, it's not a good thing, and we've had issues with that on site before, and not even necessarily through the OSS program, but people who have just thrown a bunch of trash in, say, their container and tried to call it good. Yeah, that's definitely not what we want happening, and that's why we have policies in place for any dumpsters that come through the OSS program to make sure that we're mitigating for any of that risk.
Nice.
And how are we on time?
We are at 2:09 right now, and the room is scheduled to end at 2:30.
Okay, wow. We're just
And I love Isabeau's use of the word fubard. I like that one.
Excellent. Well, I don't really have a whole lot more to add, but yeah, I'm just really looking forward to, after 2 years of not being in BRC, coming back and seeing all your glorious faces and getting to partake in all of your gifts, and really see how these 2 years off have helped us evolve as a community and a culture and a city. I'm just really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that the changes that we've made make a little bit of a difference or an impact, and we won't know until we know. So it's exciting times, and thank you all for being a part of it. Galaxy wants me to talk a little bit about drinking, like potable water delivery. And yeah, absolutely. There's currently 4 outside service providers that are certified to be potable water haulers. And each, one of them has to go through all the hoops that the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection puts them through. So your water hauler will always have the certification. You can always ask them to see it. All of the, they get the tanks and the equipment gets inspected before it's on site. It's just really important that we always, as theme camp leads or artists or whomever, do your due diligence to make sure that that whomever you're dealing with has all their ducks in a row, and that they can present all the information that you need to make sure that you're comfortable with the services that they're providing, and that they they have the expertise that you hired them for. And if they don't, we really want to know about it. Yeah, it's just really important as well. I'm going to again say, if you've dealt with OSS providers before and you have some feedback, on our website we have a form. You can put any type of feedback in there. And we'd love to hear more about you and your experiences with the program, so we can continually shape it and make it better. Oh, and I will say they will be, like labeled as a potable water hauler. Like they should be clearly labeled. There was a potential that they will actually have to have banners that say potable water, OSS potable water delivery, like on them, so it's really clear. But that may not be the case. We're not unsure, but I don't know if that would be something that makes it better for you guys, if you can clearly see that they're labeled as a potable water hauler without it being their branding. And that's another thing we really want to hit on this year, is how can they not have their branding, but then at the same time, that they are who they are. And so we're kind of experimenting with some ideas there, but we really want to make sure that we're covering up labels and, doing all of our great work, and really feeling like it's a decommodified space where we're not seeing, a Greco all in our face all the time, something like that.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I feel like we got through a lot of really great questions on this panel. So thank you to everybody who participated. And yeah, if you have any additional questions, we've dropped emails in the link, so you can contact those people directly. And we've got some applause.
Yay. And I love that I know a lot of the faces in here. I just had a moment to look and actually see on the gallery view who is here. So thank you all for coming, and open lines of communication. Happy to speak to each and every one of you. And I'm glad that you're interested in how to get our stuff to Black Rock City in a more efficient and sustainable way. Let's get better at it.
Yeah. Well, cool. If there's not anything else, we'll go ahead and end the meeting a little bit early. We do have another breakout panel happening so you guys can all head to the main kindling page and see what we've got on tap for the next breakout session. So thank you all so much.
Thanks, everyone.